Just our introduction. We'll start off with a Pledge of Allegiance first, led by Larry.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hey guys, listen. Do some kind of vote or whatever. Let's just go easy here. 12 minutes, whatever.
Yeah, we could have a discussion.
Let's not get. Let's not be like.
We'll keep the discussion at a minimum.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to start off first. Any public comments? Okay, so that closes out the public comments section. Let me just, while they're passing out this, let me just start off with our introductory paragraph that we sent out. The Ocean Pines Budget and Finance Advisory Committee met with the General Manager, Finance, and Department Heads to review the fiscal year 2018-2019 Ocean Pines operating and capital budgets. This process is a commitment to transparency, input, review, analysis, and feedback by our bylaws, board, GM, and staff. The committee appreciates the efforts by everyone in the preparation of the budget and willingness to take the time to discuss both operations and capital. Upon careful consideration of the budgets for services, amenities, and capital requests, the committee makes the following observations and recommendations to the General Manager to consider in its budget discussion for today, Tuesday, January 16th. Okay? All right, so with that, the overall comment from the committee. With revenues for amenities not growing and a forecasted two-year operating deficit over $1.4 million, the Budget and Finance Committee finds it prudent to make recommendations to address increasing costs. Payroll and benefit costs will need to be addressed to be more in line with market conditions. Telephone costs have been discussed, and the budget does reflect a decrease, specifically to Yacht Club. However, B&F do believe that a change in the review process during the year should contain costs further. Also, there were additions to staff in the fiscal 2017-2018 budget, right, last year. And based upon that, we recommend, based upon the change in approach in major projects, that open positions, if possible, not be filled in fiscal year 2018-2019. So, for one, we did in this current budget, 17-18, there was the assumptions and it was happening that we would do a lot of the work in-house for major renovations. That assumption and that whole approach has changed with this new budget, and we want to more bring it in line, or hopefully to bring it more in line to that change. We recommend the General Manager go forward with initiatives to sell lots owned by the association. The budget was presented with an acknowledgement comment by the General Manager that revenues were estimated conservatively. That is also the opinion of the Budget and Finance Committee. So that's our overall recommendation, comments, points to the GM. Any questions before I start getting into the actual amenities, services, and the capital? Okay.
One overall comment regarding that first big paragraph there. Payroll and benefit costs will need to be addressed to be more in line with market conditions. The board has asked that we look at changes potentially to the benefit piece. We currently pay 100% of employee only. We also only pay, we pay a lot towards additional family or whether it's child, employee and spouse, employee family benefits. Which is not the norm. And so we are looking at generating numbers on what going perhaps 80-20 on the employee, what that would do, how that impacts not only the bottom line for the association, but the bottom line for the employee, and how that impacts them. So those are numbers that we'll be presenting to the Board of Directors as this process continues. With that, Mr. Chairman, you want to go on and get into the details of each departmental budget?
Yes.
Okay. So administration, there were no changes. Under manager, there were no changes. Under finance, indicating about a couple things. One about overtime. Based upon your comment there, looking to reduce the overtime budget number from 18,000 to 10,000. That would reduce it by 8. But the other comment made by the committee was about the part-time position that was full-time, that this current year that wasn't budgeted for. It was budgeted at a clerical position, part-time, 30 hours a week, to assist the entire department. And in particular, bringing on a new director of finance, I didn't want to eliminate that position and tighten up that so much that he didn't have a little bit of flexibility with that part-time position. So if you still want to eliminate that, that would be a difference in what where we are. But would reduce the overtime to the 10,000 mark. So I guess there's two different issues to
What would be the
talk about
impact,
there.
what would be the impact if you didn't fill that position that you're talking about?
Well, we went from a full-time accounting position that was at significantly more cost than this one, and that person is no longer with us. And I know the chair was prior director of finance, was all that was being put, it was put in as a clerical position. And right now, based upon my initial review, without having the director of finance in place, I think that extra work is needed. But John, I know you've
Yeah,
got some insight on that.
I got more than somebody normally sitting here, fortunately or unfortunately. It's like every position in here, JB, and everybody else. If there's substantiation in which you're trying to do, and there is support, and there is some type of game plan, of course, if there's some type of business decision or there's a cost-benefit analysis, if that person was still here, that person could have been a great bridge to the new finance director, no matter who it was. Fantastic. That was part of the plan. Unfortunately, that person's not here. So if we're bringing in another person in that position who has no background in the area, who doesn't understand the area, well, who, first of all, is going to be training that person? And I don't see how that helps. That was an addition to staff. If there was a plan for it. If not, you're just going to have more
Wouldn't
body, but not enough information. A question I didn't ask last week, but now I have to ask is, I know we have a consultant in there. How long is that consultant going to be here? Because that consultant has the knowledge, or what buttons, to just put it into layman's terms, need to be pushed. I didn't ask that last week, but how long do we have that consultant in there for?
That would not be really past, certainly won't be past this current fiscal year.
So that consultant is not, that finance consultant is not in this budget.
Correct.
Starting May.
Correct. And my understanding, when that position was put in the budget for the current year, it was a clerical seasonal position. It was not a full-time position, and it wasn't, unless I'm incorrect, it certainly wasn't budgeted at the amount that we hired at and
That's right.
filled that.
No, you're right.
So the intent was something totally different than what we ended up having in there.
The intent was to have the knowledge, to have a person, the right person in place, to be a bridge to the new finance director when the new finance director came, for the day when whoever the current finance director at that time and or the consultant would not be here, and we thought we had that.
Right. But
Unfortunately, the person quit.
when the current year's budget was developed, though, it wasn't even envisioned as that, because it wasn't budgeted at that level.
That's what I was told. That's a correct statement.
So,
Look, what you need is what you need. What Steve needs, the finance director needs, absolutely. I'm just saying, I've been there. I have at all the you can put all the manpower or bring in all the temps you want. I've seen this. If somebody doesn't have the knowledge, you just have more people. I think it's more about the knowledge of what needs to be in there, or what needs to be done. I think where are we, January, February, March, April. So you say 4 months. 4 months of getting training from the person who did it. 4 months that are non-busy. Is that enough? It's a question to somebody. Well, it's a question for Steve, it's what Steve's comfortable with. And look, if Steve needs more, you know, I would be more to have somebody there that has the knowledge. If you feel that's, I mean, that's a lot of addition to staff, I gotta be honest with you, man. I mean, if that's what you need, but you understand the point I'm making. You can put all the bodies in there you want. If nobody knows what needs to be done, how's that gonna
Right.
work?
Well, if we were to go back to hiring someone in that position that's more of an accountant versus a clerical position, then we're actually adding more money to that $30,000 figure than just a clerical position. And that's what I'm hearing, that the intent was to have somebody to bridge that gap. That's that type of position is much more than the clerical position that's budgeted for.
What would you have that person do? I mean, I don't wanna get this, I mean, you're asking me and everything. What, and again, we don't wanna get this micro on the team here, but what would that person be doing? I mean,
I can help on that.
Okay.
Originally, we wanted someone part-time to, assist in Geraldine and her duties, because she has a lot of overtime there. Also Sharon, not so much Beverly, but could, and to do any key punching necessary for the GL, for the GL for financial statements. So the director is freed up to do other things rather than keeping in journal entries like you probably remember. That was the whole point, I think, of Mary suggesting to get someone in there was to assist her. That's where it all started, really. So it's really just to go around and help people do that stuff, and that's like a floating clerical person to go around.
clerical person.
Between up front, where Ruth Ann and her crew is, if somebody is out, and we're in the middle of processing memberships during summer. In the wintertime, it's, budget, stuff, and any kind of that stuff. We don't need an accountant.
I have a question. If we're looking forward to putting a new system
Exactly.
in, is this clerical person gonna be needed?
Exactly.
And I would be very concerned about bringing that person on, and then when we get the system in, then you have to let somebody go.
Exactly.
So,
That was gonna be my next
If I
point.
may offer a compromise. Keep the overtime where it is and eliminate the position.
Yes.
So we eliminate the 17,853 and we keep the OT at 18.
Yeah.
And if that ends up being less,
Let me just,
good.
that's an excellent point. And I'm glad Larry made that point, because that was gonna be my next point. The answer to that is yes, because you would have people that have the knowledge and would definitely be able to add to that. Just keep in mind, a lot of change happened, a lot of change outside of finance happened just before going into the busy season. That had a major effect on that department. Any change that was made to any type of memberships, any change that was made to a point-of-sale system, it had more effect in finance than than if you don't work in finance, you wouldn't understand it. It was tremendous, and it hit that department in the 4 months. A lot of what I would have had prepped going into that 4 months was not done. I don't anticipate any of that next year. Of course, if there is a situation or whatever like that, absolutely, you do whatever you need to do. If that's what Steve and you need, honestly, I'm fine with it. I would go that route as opposed to the other route.
Okay.
And let Steve get more in there, see what he needs. But I think let me take Steve's net. I think anybody going in there you need knowledge right now I've been through this, I've seen this. Knowledge as opposed to many bodies that don't have the knowledge.
Okay.
The overtime, yeah.
So let's keep the overtime at the budget amount that you currently have at 18, and we eliminate the seasonal position, or the part-time position,
That's,
okay?
yeah.
All right.
17, right, JB?
Yeah, 17,853.
So then, Art, I'm sorry, so JB, Art is there until April? I'm sorry, usually I don't single out, but this is just, I think this was good.
Not,
And it's gonna call you just for the audit to be done.
I'll do I will gladly do the audit for him. The audit, I will gladly do that. You could call me, I'll do it from here, or whatever. Yes,
I'm not anybody.
I'll volunteer for that. No, that's fine. That's up to JB and Steve, I guess, and Pat. Okay, that's good.
all right.
All righty.
Marketing, I understand the board, the committee's position on elimination of the trolley service. We actually have, in the last 96 hours, found sponsors for that. So we're gonna add the same amount of money that it costs us to the revenue side, and be able to continue to do that. That doesn't cost us anything. CPI, there were no changes. General maintenance, the two positions that are referred there about not filling those two positions, they were actually under Public Works payroll. It's two positions that we had people retire in. That came up to 75,000 and some change, and we will. It's not just not filling them; it's eliminating them.
Okay, we
Right,
just
well, the
recommended-
only way to
Okay.
achieve that savings, which is what I think the intent was,
Right.
is to eliminate them.
Okay.
That include the payroll cost, JB?
That's
That's
all in, it was
The whole thing.
75 and some change,
For two or for one?
for two,
For two.
total for the two.
Wow.
But it was in Public Works, not general.
Right.
Correct.
Right. Yeah, when we had the discussion.
To be
it was-
blunt, it was in landscaping,
Right. I'm sorry?
it was landscaping.
Landscape.
Personnel.
So, if I can ask then, so I understand, and again, everybody correct me, in the budget we're in now, 17, 18. When we did this last year, I had in my notes, and I thought I remembered that we added 5 people to Public Works, which I thought was a great idea, and I still do, to work on this building, that it would be cheaper, more efficient, effective to do it, which I believe. I still do, but now we're taking the different approach, which we're outsourcing, which is fine, and then today that's, I'm sure. So I was more looking at it, okay, so we had an addition of 5 to staff last year. Granted, there were other things that were open or that even piled up, and
Was
that's what
that
I heard
all
last week.
in Public Works? I don't think it was all Public Works.
Where was
or
it?
maintenance.
Well, any combination between the two, I mean,
Well, I mean, I don't think it was all in those two departments.
I thought there
Well,
was.
it's actually.
I thought it was,
no,
and I think there was a
It was
note
in
too.
those two departments.
It was.
All 5 of them?
Yeah.
Yes,
I wouldn't say it if I.
yeah.
So regardless of the combination with department, so what I'm saying, what I heard last week when we questioned it was the Director of Public Works / Maintenance said he had work built up, he had work for them, and that was fine, but it sounded like that substantiated 3 of them, the other 2 positions, regardless of whether it was from retirements or not, but out of those 5 that I believe that we added last year, that 2 of them were kind of open right now. So based upon not doing the work here, based upon understanding or hearing last week that we did have a substantiation for 3 of them, that was fine, and that's why we said that these 2, we were requesting that they wouldn't be filled. Right, everybody agree? Yeah?
And I think in addition to this, the work here, they anticipated the work on the beach club,
Right.
which is done.
So the approach was to outsource, okay, that's fine, but if last year the approach was that we're gonna do it in-house, which was fine, obviously then we have to change gears, I mean, come on. Hold on.
Right, so that would be eliminating those 2 positions, and it totals $75,594 all in.
Okay. We got a question in the back from Gene.
I didn't know the amount.
So, well, for the 2, 75,000, all in.
So that was actually changes in Public Works, not maintenance, but
That's fine, it's,
Oh,
right,
that's-
some
that was
combination of
Public
the
Works?
two, that's fine.
it's in Public Works.
Yeah, that's
I
fine.
calculate on that first page, that's $11.37 of PPO,
Okay,
or thereabouts.
So there's no changes in general maintenance?
$11.05.
Five.
but it's some kind of, it's between general maintenance and public works, we
Okay.
should put the two together.
That's what I,
They seem to operate together anyway, right?
what's that?
They seem to operate as one unit anyway.
Right, so
Correct.
just combine it, it's,
Yeah.
whatever, all right.
Fire and EMS, just to, one of the things is the number, in the budget here is 142. We actually need to add 47 to that
For this current,
for next year.
Oh, for next year,
The-
okay, so I had to
Again,
mix that.
under,
JB, before you start into the detail, and we do want to hear it, can I just ask a question? Or, again, correct me wherever wrong. We heard when fire and EMS came in, and it was news to us, and just like I'm sure a lot of it was news to you, and I agree. They needed an ambulance, and I have my notes in front of me, they needed a new ambulance this year, they needed a new ambulance next year.
Next year.
And then something in 2020.
2 years out.
Have we confirmed that? Do we know for, that is exactly what's needed by law and everything? And that was confirmed? By us, by them, by
Is
whatever?
it confirmed by law or confirmed by desire? That I
Confirmed by
have
law
not
and
asked
then
that question.
confirmed by law and need. I don't have background in that. I heard it, kinda took us by surprise. I didn't see anything in there on that. I do believe that these expenses were coming up, but I don't have to that level of detail. And the fact that, and you did talk to me afterwards and I appreciate it, the fact that that was kinda new to everybody at the meeting, I just think there needs to be follow-up documentation and understanding fully of it. Because I didn't see that in there.
Okay.
Doesn't surprise me, but I'm just saying, okay, so we're gonna allocate this money, or Ocean Points is, just, do we have documentation on it? Where are we? Do we know for a fact that is? And let's, if we don't, let's get it.
Okay.
I think we know for a fact that the rehabilitated ambulance is coming due within about 30 days. So
Right.
we need an additional 142,000 added to this year's budget because there's 47,000 in the reserve for that. So that would cover that 189,000. If it's next year. I
Yeah,
think we're
wherever the,
talking-
I had in my notes, the 47, it doesn't matter, either way. The 47's there, right? So
Well, it does
just
matter, I
adjust
think,
it.
a little bit, John, because we're making the payment this year. And it just adds to the deficit this year.
Okay. Yes.
All right, the board will be addressing that at the January 27th board meeting on the one that's due now.
Right.
Do we have a file on that? Do we have I can't think of the name right now, like a communication file? Do we have something on all of this? I do know a little bit about this too. I do know, the question last week was whether or not that was board approved. When that check came up for cutting, I wanted an email on it. I wanted something for that. I do believe somebody showed me something in the minutes that it was to pay off the loan. Now, how, that's another deal. So I just think that all needs to be reviewed and just put in order so everybody has it going forward.
What we can do is we'll include back, since the board's gonna deal with this current one, we'll have the backup information for that for the board of directors meeting on the 27th for them to back up support documentation on that particular issue for the current 189. And the same would be applicable information for the future 189.
Right.
But, so, the issue here is adding $47,000 to that 142 that's on page 10.1. So
Okay.
that's,
And I think there was one other thing that probably didn't, I think we didn't get it in the recommendation, is the transparency of these fire reserves, what they have reserved, and of course what we have, because we don't see it listed anywhere else.
right.
So in the future, we should know, and the community should know, where both stand.
Right, when that expenditure was made to pay off the debt service, that's not showing on our P and L, because it's not.
Correct.
That was the surprise to me, was that nobody knew that.
But this is an example of what I'm saying.
It was debt service on another item, wasn't it? It wasn't equipment, it was.
Correct.
Right.
It was a
On
building.
land.
Building.
We have a question in the back.
I just want to make a comment. I think one of the reasons this was a surprise is that meeting, I think it was in December 16th, I'm not sure, was done in closed session. We never had a closed session to discuss the fire department. I mean, it's not negotiating a deal. If the meeting had been open, somebody might have known about it. And I don't think it's justified as a closed session.
So we're, in other words, we have to add 47,000 to this line item.
From
So that-
reserves.
For next year.
There is no reserve to add it from.
Where's that 47 coming from then, that
Well,
we're adding the 142 from?
that brings up another, that brings up another issue was
Yeah.
with the money that was used to pay off the debt, how that money was supposed to be allocated. Which, to be honest with you, nobody in there knew. I certainly didn't know. I'd just
Right.
gotten in there like the day or two. I just went by whatever, what came out. I did see in the minutes, but that's why there needs to be a chronological file. I did reach out to somebody in the association, I figured had some knowledge on it. But yeah, whichever way that 47 goes, whatever, 42, whatever it is.
Does that 147, I'm sorry, does the 47 exist somewhere?
Not for 2019.
It did.
No,
It did,
it's
but
not
they
needed for
spent-
there, it's needed for 17, 18.
It's needed for both.
Right, that's what I was saying about whatever.
Okay, so what's,
My point is, this 142, we need to add $47,000 to that,
And then
that
we-
doesn't
and
exist.
then we need to replenish the 47?
And then you
Next
got
year?
189 the next year.
Yeah, so it's
189.
189 for 2019
Right.
budget.
Yes.
Right.
We've got 142 plugged in there, that's coming out, that would come out of that reserve. Right, Art?
I don't-
Wherever, you have the 47.
Right, this is the way I remember it.
Comes out of the reserve.
You only have 47 right now, not 142.
And you gotta write a check.
So if
for
that
142.
47 is gonna be applied to 17, 18, so be it. I thought it was for 18, 19, whatever. Either way, over the 2 years,
It's 189 both years.
it's 189.
Now
And
and
then one of the
189
years you have
after May 1.
42, and so it's 47 less, right?
The way I understood it, like there's 47 in a reserve now, you gotta add 142
Right.
out of this current budget.
Right.
We need to buy,
That was
we need to buy an
the
ambulance
ambulance.
within 30 days
Right.
today, so we need to add an extra 142, and then we need to buy an ambulance next year.
And that's what's put into
going on
this
the
budget.
P&L for
Right.
19.
Right,
Right.
right.
Okay.
And they're
So-
just asking to get the substantiation for this.
Right,
And
so
frankly-
that number needs to go to 189.
189.
One
That's
eighty-nine,
correct.
yeah, like, I mean, the
Right.
one, whatever.
And what does
I-
that do to the assessment calculation for this proposed budget?
Plus,
It goes up.
Exactly,
up.
that's my point.
And that was our point last week.
It goes up by 47 or 189? Just
So,
to be
well,
clear.
I don't, what was the,
You've already got how
189.
much baked in there?
We already got 142.
142, so you're
Right, so
adding
you're adding
47.
47,000.
Right,
Right.
which
So that's,
is 20.
that comes to, 50 cents a lot? 8,000 watts, right?
oh, God.
This has gotten more,
Strike that comment.
I think it's gotten more
47.
confusing than it needs to be.
Yeah.
I got it, Steve's got it.
It adds $5.56.
Right, you-
A decimal
And
move on
then
it.
for this current year, you also have a
An
charge.
unfunded
Right,
expense.
and that's
So, right.
separate
Okay,
from
I
our
think we're on the
purposes
same
today.
page, and I know Steve had it. Okay.
And police, no changes on the amenities. We all talked about the revenue numbers. The net operating for golf increases by $100,000 instead of staying the same at the $100,000 mark of this year. Everybody thinks we can do better on the revenue, but again, being conservative about how much, I would be okay, maybe, with increasing the revenue by 25,000.
And again, right, there was definitely points, there was definitely substantiation for the change that you were making in the golf directive. Totally got it, understand it, was substantiated. With that, we just felt there was some positives that could have been included. So 25,000, I have my specialist on golf who calculated a number for us. What's your thoughts on that? It's fine. It's fine.
I'm fine with it.
Okay, so that reduces things by $2.95.
There you go. There you go. But we do acknowledge and we do understand that situations that happen in this current fiscal probably will have some type of effect next year. We hope not, but we understand everything that was put forth to us. Okay, I'm good if everybody else. Jim, golf, good? Okay.
On the yacht club, we're looking at the cap of revenue to payroll expense at 40. Committee's recommending to total payroll expense in this budget be lowered to at least a cap of 44% of revenue. And you also recommended that we consider partially closing the yacht club in the off-season based upon the losses in the budget presented. 2 comments. Second part of that comment first. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to make sure you understood that. Right, that was, there was a lot of debate on this as everywhere in here. But, and I think you said it at the end there, based upon that budget that we received, and we're just starting with that, there's no way we'd be able to keep that open all year long, incurring that kind of loss. We just don't see it. Obviously then, as we see what's going on, you know, that could possibly change, depending, obviously if you're showing that you can make money every month, and I'm not saying you can, and I don't wanna get 5 emails on it, but obviously then, you know, that's different. But that was focused at this time, which is pretty much what we had to address, was, hey, if you're gonna give us that kind of budget with that kind of money, why even be open with those kind
Right.
of losses?
I guess 3 comments. One, as far as partially closing the yacht club in the off-season, if we end up with a management partner on that, I don't think that would be something that they would want to be doing. And then second of all, I'll say it, and I know everybody's going to disagree with it, but it's okay. You'll see that we did some numbers to standard on the payroll piece, and as far as cost goes, I mean food and beverage costs. My history indicates that as an amenity and where we're located, etc., applying standards from the rest of the restaurant world to our yacht club facility in particular is not going to work. It doesn't pan out that way. Be that as it may, we're currently budgeted at 59%, committee wants 44. Well, can we do 50 for this coming year, and then we can reevaluate going forward? The 50%, look at the 59 versus the 44. It's about 15 difference. Add 7.5 to the 44, you're at 51.5. I'll go 50. That saves us 141,587 or $17.
I have some comment. I mean, I'll give everybody a shot here.
I just had a quick question. If we manage it, you do intend to close it, and except for weddings and reopen it for weddings and things like that, when there's an opportunity to make money. Is that the?
Are we talking about?
I'm talking about the building.
You're right.
The building.
Like after Labor Day, we're talking about?
Yes,
Or
yes,
like
that off-season, whatever you determine to be the off-season.
Off-season after September or something like that, after the shoulder season.
Whatever.
We would probably reduce the hours. I wouldn't see closing it, except for that period of, sometime in January, where most everything closes down anyway. Again, looking at the potential for a managing partner, I would not see them wanting to close down in the fall season.
Yeah, but we're looking at 2 different scenarios here.
Right.
Yeah.
And so the budget that we have in front of us, the assumption is that you're not gonna have a managing partner, right?
That was the assumption when I had to put this together, correct?
Right, so hopefully after, I think you said that this January board meeting, you'll have a decision on
Yeah.
whether as a managing partner. So I don't know,
We shouldn't labor too long.
I don't
Hold on, I
think,
just wanna hear-
that's where I'm going. I don't know that we should be,
Exactly.
you know, spending a lot of time worrying about this at this time, because I think if I understand from our offline discussions, it's pretty clear we're gonna have a management group in here.
Well said, and that's, and like I'm saying here, that's pretty much it. We don't know yet what you're gonna do with this management. We do applaud that you're looking at that. We're commenting on, based upon what you gave us, that's what we're seeing on that. And that's our comments and recommendations. Once we get more understanding, then obviously we can, which is basically what Larry said, and
Right.
I'm right, that's where I am. And I believe the whole team in overall. Otherwise, believe me, there's so many variables and so many discussions. I mean, obviously,
Exactly.
nobody, so at this point right now, that's the comment and recommendation from in lockstep from this team, for what you gave us. And we do applaud you still looking into.
Well, do you wanna go ahead and make a change to the 50% versus the 44?
Oh, I see what you're saying, because you'll need that even for your management. Well,
We're at 50.
but that's exactly what I didn't
we're
want
at
happen. Okay,
We're at 59% now.
I got it,
Committee was recommending 44.
I
If we go to 50,
right. Let me answer this one.
What does that do to them?
Let me just answer this one. Let me
Yeah.
just, before you get into that. Okay, that's why I put, well, the team with the 44 was, if we're going out to a management company, JB, I don't want us starting off with a 59% salary cost, or total payroll cost. I don't want that. If we're gonna
right,
start
well,
negotiating with that.
if something ends
that's-
up being a
no.
percentage of reduction in deficit to current, then lowering that would be
Right.
appropriate.
Right.
So,
I have to tell you, JB, and I think from the discussions of the group is that I think we would prefer to have the lower target number.
Exactly.
And deal with any overture if we don't go to the management company. But I think to put the number out there that we're gonna go to 50%, you know, I would see us at the end of the year, even if we have a company managing it, saying, well, we're at 48%, so we feel good.
well, the comment there though is, I don't think we're looking at what that percentage is gonna be for whoever
Right.
is managing it. It's the bottom line that we're looking at.
Right,
Right.
but JB, what we're saying then is, get your management, get your proposal, whatever, let's look at the whole big picture on it before we start on this. I do understand you need something to start with.
Right.
But going out there with I just round numbers in my head, 60% of payroll costs, come on. It's something, if you're saying what realistically a benchmark, you're telling me an amenity is different than a private business, a private restaurant that somebody owns by themselves, I do understand that. I do understand what you're saying. So if whatever the number is for a family-owned restaurant or whatever, and wherever we were, obviously the number's somewhere in between. Now, whether it's 44 or 46 or 48, whatever, that's all gotta be part of your negotiation with the management company. So we don't wanna
Right.
lock you into a 44 then, you gotta negotiate it, but we're not starting with 59%, that's, no. I'm being honest with you, if we're starting like that, I can just imagine how the whole thing's gonna evolve. Now, for an amenity, if you're saying it is 50, 48, and we have substantiation for that or whatever, I mean, obviously, we'll look at that, I mean,
But that
that's
is-
part of the
but-
whole picture.
But the 44%, I think, sort of takes in consideration that if we are running this as an amenity, you know, I think the industry standard's 30 to 35%, so if we're up at 44%, I think we're right in line.
I can tell you the places I worked at.
Let me ask you, what do you mean by, I think I know the answer, but I'll ask it anyway. Running it as an amenity versus running it as a business. What exactly does that mean?
No.
Let me answer the question.
No, it's a
Let me
great
answer the
question. It's fine.
Does that, it's a philosophical question, does that mean we will withstand
Yes, John.
$200,000 a year loss?
Yes. I'll answer.
Because it's an amenity, and it's part of the,
Where's that thing with the toes premier? I mean, this is for John, JB, because he's answering. And again, this is the worldwide debate down here for years and years and years. I mean,
It
I
has
pick
been.
up,
That's why I brought it up.
yeah, that's excellent. When I pick up that brochure and it says a premier resort, I don't have it in front of me, I'd read it again to all of you for the 10th time, but I start off with that vision and mission statement, but obviously, that's some type of guidance that should be given to JB, whether it's from the board or whatever, I see it that it's a premier resort, and that I do understand that it's not gonna be able to be where a privately owned, family owned, or I own my own restaurant. But then again, it's not at 59% either.
For all the reasons John mentioned, it's not, I don't know that it's ever gonna break even. And so are we willing to accept that? It's just part of the course of, cost of doing business as an amenity.
If you're asking me for my opinion, I'll give it, but I mean, this is.
I mean, my opinion is, yeah. I mean, if
Exact
we
same
want
thing
it-
with this golf course. If you can bring this thing in at a reasonable cost, which I believe management did this year, in
Yeah.
spite of everything else, and just showing that you're getting better and better
Right.
and moving in the right direction. But again, that's up to
I
the
think
board, and we can
membership-
give a recommendation.
Membership just wants to feel comfortable that we're doing the best job we can.
I actually, and
There
then
you go,
JB, we're
Marty.
waiting here. We actually have a comment in the back, yeah?
We're gonna hire an outside management company, budget's over 35% payroll costs. We hired the wrong management.
Agreed.
I agree to that also.
Agreed.
With regard to amenity versus business, we're charged in the documents to operate these amenities in a business-like manner. Anybody wanna go horseback riding this afternoon? We eliminated an equestrian center because it lost half what the yacht club lost.
That's a little different.
I don't wanna eliminate the yacht club, don't expect anybody does, but we got, this place went
Let me just
until
answer this
88,
first.
boarding it up in the wintertime because it doesn't make sense. JB, when you talk about,
Comments?
I have a question, I can't ask what?
I don't know. You're the keeper of the scrolls. Can you ask a question? I don't know. Can
Yeah.
you? If you can, you can. I don't know what the scrolls
Well,
say.
the question is, JB said that he didn't think that a partner operator would wanna close in the winter. What?
All right, let's do this, JB, let's do this.
Why?
All right, I read all this, and here's this. JB's in, we hired JB, Ocean Pines. Let's give the GM a chance to come back with his proposal that he has said on January 27th. Let's look at the whole picture. We can, cut and dice it right now. I think in general, you have enough. If not, you gotta get answers either from us or from the board going forward. But, I mean, let's give him a shot at this. I don't see any problem with it, but I can't sit here when I don't have the whole thing, dicing and slicing what we don't even know the presentation is.
Well, this may not be,
There are parameters which.
Address Marty's comment. I don't think are going to want to close it because I think they're going to be able to make money at it.
Good answer.
Good answer.
Good answer. That's what I want to hear.
not sure it's correct, but it's a
No,
good.
no, see now, you see now, hold on. All right, hold on. No, good answer, JB. Let's go with that, let's see what happens. I like his
What do we
answer.
want to do on the payroll expense? We want to go to 44?
I think I answered it.
Our recommendation.
I think what'd you say, 50, whatever? We're saying it's somewhere in between. Obviously, I don't want to give you a lockstep number.
Right,
Maybe
and
some type of guideline,
and my
which is
point
what I'm
is,
saying.
it's
I'd
not a
expect it somewhere-
lockstep number.
Right, and we don't even have to propose.
Particularly
Somewhere in
if
the
we
middle.
have a managing partner,
Right.
they're
Somewhere
not
in the
going to
middle.
say, all right, well, we got wiggle room to do there. They're looking at their bottom line.
Right,
That's what's going to impact
Exactly.
that contractual arrangement with
exactly.
them.
That's why I want to see the whole
Yeah, this-
picture of it.
Right.
So our guidance is somewhere in between there, which you're kind of almost there.
Let's
No?
pick a number.
Oh, you want an exact number? That's
All
fine.
right,
Okay.
I want to run a number.
That's
I want
fine.
to have a.
Okay, I was gonna give you a range.
I'm working towards a PowerPoint presentation
All right.
for the next 2 weekends.
He needs a number to adjust the
Yeah, he
budget.
wants a number, give him the number. I mean, I was gonna give him a
I
range.
have to
give him
tell
a
you,
number.
47.5?
I have to tell you, JB, I think, and again, now we're getting back into the discussions as to what
He
the
wants a
number's
number,
gonna
give him a
be.
number.
My opinion is that we've given you that number, and, at this point, I think we have to look at this as this could be the number going forward. I don't think that's gonna be the case, but if we're looking at this now, as this is the number going forward, I think we stay where we're at 44%. That's my opinion.
This all may be moot anyway
It
if you
very
do.
well may be, so.
All right, we'll have to calculate what the 44% is.
It's 238,000, I think.
Actually, I did that somewhere in my margins and things.
So each percent 16,070.
They have
There
a
it
comment in
is.
the back while they're calculating. the number.
44% equals 707, which is $238,003.
Drops the bottom number to 100,007.
That's the reduction in payroll costs.
Right, and I will point out, okay, we reduced the 338 by 238, that gets us down to 108,000, which is back to, less of a subsidy than it was in 2015. If I'd have presented you that number, you'd have called me crazy. Just to be blunt.
You're probably right there.
Well, I don't
Because
know.
it's
I
not,
don't know.
going from, an actual of negative 230 in 2017, I'm not sure what happened in 16 with the 76,000, and then 181 back in 15. I dare say that would have been pretty rosy picture to present you, bottom line.
16's one of the best years we've had, it was 44% in 16, right?
Right,
And the budget for this year was 44%. You know, and I'm not suggesting that that makes any sense at all, given the results, but the 44% seems to be a reasonable number, a reachable number now,
right.
that's all.
Yeah, but bottom line, on the net operating at the bottom of the page on 22.1, if I had given you a number of 108,000 in the red, I don't think you would have believed me.
I don't know about that, because with
I gotta
everything,
tell you something.
with everything that went on last year,
Exactly.
I think, no, I don't think so. Regardless of what the number was, operating at 59% is just, it's unacceptable. I believe the industry standard, and I'm not an expert in restaurants, but
Right,
from what I understand, that it's somewhere between 30 and 35%. I understand that, I think we do run this as an amenity, so the cost is gonna be higher.
right. Look at the 2017 actual. Payroll
Right.
was fit 50%, but your revenue was 1.7 million. Going in at a revenue of 1.6 and applying the same 50%, okay, it's still not gonna get me anywhere near $100,000
And what I'm
deficit.
telling you is I don't care, quite honestly, what last year's expense number was, because I think it was so out of line that
No, I'm talking about the 17 budget, which is ended a year plus ago.
which is right now.
No,
17 actual.
Actually,
for the prior year. Our revenue went 1.2, or net revenue, but look at the top piece, the total revenue at the top.
Right.
1.9, 1.8, 1.7, and I proposed 1.6.
I don't have a
If-
problem with the revenue.
Right, I understand, but but the revenue is what drives the other piece, other calculation. We've got to get the revenue up and control the expenses to keep those percentages down in that
That's right.
44 range.
That makes
But
perfect sense, but
I
if they-
digress. My point
No, you
was,
didn't digress.
I didn't present you an overly rosy picture.
Right, hold on, I got one. Right,
For a reason.
and look, I understand it's 350, you're coming in, if I was sitting there, I get all that. I just wanna backtrack with the amenity, and tell me if I'm missing something here. I understand the point with the amenity without getting into a whole debate, which could go the whole day, and I understand that. I just thought, when we give rent free, that almost is the part that's covering, and, hey, so it's an amenity. I mean, we're asking somebody to take a business, unless I missed something here, without paying rent, and saying to make a profit or break even. Just tell me if I'm missing something here, and that's what's been going on for years, am I right? Just give me a nod. So, that's a big part of covering them, and we still can't make it, So, let's just take all the pieces, if you put together an equation of what makes a successful business or even a restaurant. You got, where's your revenue, where's your expense? Okay, so which one's out of whack? If not both, then where's management? Where's the workers? Where's the controls? Where's finance? Who has ownership and accountability for it at the end of the day? If you can tell me, pick a year, who's accountable for that and who's gonna sit here and be accountable for it, you're probably gonna get better results. But I've been sitting here for 2 years and there's no food and beverage guy in front of me, old lady or whatever. So maybe they were held accountable, I don't know. All I'm saying is, I understand your point with the 350, let's get the whole overview, the
All right,
proposal you
so
get.
we're at 44%, that's minus 28.
I mean, I'm fine with the 44 today. I mean, if it was my own business, but I'm fine with it.
Okay.
You want a
29,
number?
you say?
Minus 28.
28,
I mean, you got a whole bunch of history with that, I mean, as a start. Somebody
Okay.
had a comment in the back?
Yeah, one comment, September of 2018, new standards were put out. The industry-wide standard for labor now is 29%.
29%.
29% drop below 30.
29%.
To the latest standards put out.
29%.
Secondly, this is just an observation to keep in mind. If that, just in my opinion, it makes sense. Well, maybe it's not a good observation, but it makes sense. We should not hire a consultant and then tell them to close during the off-season, because we're giving them the most profitable months to manage, which we can do ourselves.
Louder.
We're giving them, the consultants, if we say, close off-season, we're asking the management company to manage during the most profitable part of the season for that restaurant. And historically, we've proven, other than last year, most other years, we've been able to manage a profit in those in-season months, let's say May through September. And so, I just say, it makes sense if we're managing ourselves to say, okay, we might want to close down for the off-season because we haven't been successful in managing that. But I don't think it makes sense to hire a management company and then tell them to close down after October.
That's what I was
Yeah, and we, right, and well said, Gene, and to be honest with you, that's the same from this B&F committee, you know. Remember, the point we made in the beginning was, if you're gonna give us a budget with a just rounded, $350,000 loss, well, then we, you know, we gotta start looking at shutting it down, doing something to curb it. But ideally, in a real situation, or the next situation, we have the same comment that you made.
See, I could argue, if we do this right, we put the right people in the right positions, we don't need a management company, and close down for whatever those periods happen to be. We don't need a management, we don't need to pay 40, 50, whatever it is, $1,000 for a management company, if we do it right. We have the right people.
Except that we haven't done it right.
For 40, right,
Well,
For that
and
kind of
that's-
money, we
that-
haven't done it
that's-
right.
That's the other side of the river, yeah, we
It hasn't
haven't.
happened.
But we're
Mr.
starting
Chairman.
new, we've got, I'm sorry.
JB.
I was gonna say,
Jim, you got a question?
Have you been able to determine the impact on the $452,000 loss for this year by closing the yacht club?
not yet.
Well, that would be a good number to have, because it
Somebody
would
did.
address John's point, at least for that period of time, and it could be expanded if it needed to be back, if you wanna go back to November or whenever.
Right. If we were to end up doing this in-house, yeah, I would definitely look at closing in that off-season
Well,
period.
you can run this place. So, like we're doing.
Right,
Yeah, I
exactly.
mean,
It would be,
we're offering
it'd be
people
a very different approach.
Yeah, and whenever you fix the upstairs up, that becomes the other option. You don't need the place at that time of year. So I think that's a relevant discussion point when you go forward with the board regarding hiring a management company. We do it ourselves, I think John's right. We shut the place down in the odd months and run someplace else. Run this place, run the upstairs here when we get there. It would be interesting to know what you think the impact of disclosure that's in place now will have on this 452.
I thought I saw somebody who presented us with this, if it's closed in November, we save X. Did they? Okay.
Yeah, we actually, I've seen it, we got it, and
This whole discussion changes to
It-
once the
That's why,
country
let's
club
let him-
gets,
Yeah,
once the
right.
country
Let's-
club
let's
gets
move on.
redone
Let-
here.
let's-
Totally different
this is a whole
let's
different-
let we tried to answer the question, JB, wanted for him to go forward, but we're all looking forward
He didn't get the
Okay,
answer
to
he
the
wanted, but-
27th.
The only caution I have,
We're plugging
John-
in 44%, and there we go.
There we go.
John, the only caution I have with this outside consultant firm coming in and or outside manager, he's gonna have to be Superman to come in and do something in the off-season that we haven't been able to do for decades. You know?
Manage.
Well, could be, all right. You know, just a
Okay.
concern.
All right, let's go.
Mr.
No, I got
Chairman,
it.
moving on.
All right.
Beach Club, no changes. Marina, no changes. Reserves. Delaying the sports core room addition will, that's a recommendation, and again, that one is out of replacement right now, because that's where the board took it from, when it
Right.
approved it. I think the board's gonna address that anyway. Discussions during our meetings, understanding the sanctuary crabbing pier replacement costs may not produce benefits to association members. Go back to my comment at the time, when we were discussing that the first time. If it either needs to be fixed or it needs to go away. I'm seeing go away, so we can take that out. And let's see how people respond to us just eliminating that funding, and, well, there'll be some amount of funding required to eliminate it.
Yes, and that's our recommendation.
Right.
So leave this as it is.
But again, it was coming out of replacement, so it's not actually impacting your reserve, your assessment. In far as calculation, well, no, it doesn't.
Ultimately, it does.
No, not really.
I agree with you, but say what he says.
Yes.
Yes.
I mean,
Right.
your
I understand
contribution
what
to
Larry's
replacement
saying.
is gonna
Right.
be whatever the
Right.
contribution to replacement is. You
Right.
take the sanctuary crabbing
Right.
pier
I
out
agree with you.
at $135,000,
Right.
I can guarantee you there's stuff that's not in there that needs to be in there
Right,
that's
right.
gonna make up for
Yes.
that. So,
Yes.
there was more to my comment than just say no.
I agree with you. Yes.
It comes out, something else is going in, I can guarantee it. The recommend road depreciation be included, all right? That adds $26 back to it. So, okay, we'll do that. On the bulkheads, question. The comment for everybody involved, bulkheads, recommend that the assessment to all property owners be suspended for the fiscal year 2018-19 budget. Based upon discussions with Public Works and GM and a review of the reserve balance, it appears to be adequately funded at this time. The assessment to all property owners be suspended. Is that just the $19? Or is that the $19 plus the $465?
Plus the 462 or 65, whatever it is.
Okay.
Because there's still $2.5 million in that account, if I read it correctly.
All right. I guess that one's one we're gonna have to disagree on. Because I'm fine with the 19,
Right.
but not the 465.
Okay. And the reasons being?
Can I ask
No,
why?
hold on.
Well, the majority of the bulkheads that are owned by OPA, they've been done. And the contribution is, a percentage is a great differential as well. And again, I go back to the point I made before, that if you have an average of 72 linear feet for private bulkhead and you're paying in it for 34 years, you're still getting a good deal. And it wouldn't cover the total amount that individual would be paying over the lifetime of 30+ years to replace that. We're gonna need that amount. So that's,
I don't disagree that everything you say is absolutely true, except that the association has collected bulkhead from the bulkhead owners, the differential for the last 2 years, and again, if my numbers were correct, we spent about $160,000 in bulkhead maintenance, and mainly because of the issues with the changing contractors and the contract. So, you know, if we're looking at a total of $880, I think it's $880 or $882,000 going into that reserve, we've already got $2.5 million in there. That reserve account is bloated. There's $2.5 million left at the end of this year, should be more than enough to cover exactly what we need going forward. So not only should all homeowners get that $19 break, but the bulkhead owners who have been paying into that account for 2 years and nothing has been done should also get that break. So
Okay.
I think that was the discussion that we had amongst ourselves, and that, you know, in essence, what we're doing, we're eliminating $882,000 collected for reserves. And our position was that it should have no adverse impact, even if they increase the work that's done this year. They're still historically only doing about $1 million worth of work a year. You know, with, if they do 1 million, even 1.5 million this year, it's still gonna leave a good amount of money in that bulkhead account.
I understand the argument. So as far as, you know, I see that being the only difference between the committee and the GM going forward to the board. I definitely agree on doing the 19. I don't agree on doing the 465. So we can take the 19 out. And
Anybody else on the BNF team want to make a comment? Because you all had a lot of comments, and I wanted to
I
bring
have a little
forward.
problem taking the 465 out. I think that's,
Hold on, it goes.
I see JB's point. I don't know how many feet we've got in here, but $2 million we've got covers 10,000 some odd feet of bulkhead. Is that enough?
Okay, there's another one.
I originally thought when we were discussing this, we were only talking about the 19. That was,
Go ahead.
we kind of assumed the 465 was staying there.
Okay, so that's 2. John?
I don't have any strong opinion one way or the other, but if you are gonna take it out, you gotta make extremely clear it is a 1 year only you're taking it out, and it's not ongoing to those people.
Okay, now give me a strong opinion. What do you think?
Strong opinion?
Yeah.
I would say take it out.
Take it out?
Take it out.
Take it out.
I guess that's,
And see.
Those of us who don't live on the water don't want to take it out.
Oh, I'm sorry, is that it? You guys live on the water?
No, I don't live on the water. No.
I do, but I don't think it really gets into that. I think it's
All right, I'm just gonna, Gene, you're part of the finance or whatever. You have a lot of history here. What do you see on this? I know you gave a lot of input on it.
I just believe that, no matter how much, there's only a certain amount of work they can do in a year.
Right.
And historically, this has been a pay-as-you-go. They're trying not to accumulate the total replacement cost for 30 years. Over 30 years, we're not trying to do that. We're trying to we have been funding it based on what they believe they're gonna be able to do each year in a 30-year plan. So if you come out with the next 30-year plan and you have a catch-up year where you wanna do twice as much, I still think you have the reserves in here to do that. Because you got 2 million or 2.5 million in there. I think that there was a fair amount of uproar.
No, but no, I'm
I
not,
think there was a fair amount of uproar last year from,
right.
property owners that had bulkheads. Of course, I remained totally silent. There was a fair amount of uproar from people that were paying that fee when nothing was done. And, we still don't have, when this budget's gonna be presented, I don't know, JB, that we have a plan we're gonna present that says, this is why we need you to pay for it this year. Absent a plan that we can present.
Absent a plan.
Absent a plan that we can present along with collecting it again, and we're not saying what the hell we're gonna do with it, I think is wrong. And I think just give them, just say, we appreciate you, being patient with us, and for that, we're gonna give you a break and not collect until we know what we're
Okay,
doing.
I got it. Comment, question?
I would just like to say that, suspending it is fine, that's fine. I would just want to be absolutely certain that we don't say, oh, excuse me, you owe us $1,000 next year.
Uh-huh. Yeah, yeah.
So, and I
So
don't
we
think
will.
we know
Hold on,
that.
hold on.
I mean,
No, just-
you know.
No, no, yeah,
I'm
yeah.
waterfront owner, but, I don't think we know that we're not gonna need $1,000 next year. And JB, put out some numbers the other day at the meeting that he felt strongly that we needed what we have in there plus. So I would err on the side of conservatism, maybe collect less than the 465. I would not take the 465 to zero. I don't think we have, kind of akin to what Gene said, we don't have the information to collect it, but we do not have the information to not collect It's not like we've been collecting 465 and we've got $10 million in the reserve. We don't. We have 2 years, maybe a little more than 2 years in the reserve. So that, I think not collecting it is a little risky at this point.
Okay.
Not collecting anything.
Okay. One second,
Pass.
Pass? I got another comment, question?
If you triple the expenses, you still have a balance in the reserve account. The reserves are not in a zero-based budget for that bulkhead ever been structured as a slush fund. And I mean, that's what you're looking at right now. There's no need for that kind of money to be in that reserve. We have no plan to spend it.
Of course there's a plan.
I don't think so.
Show me where. You're gonna spend $900,000,
Yeah,
you're
just
gonna
let
end up
them-
with a balance
just,
of,
So,
And if
I'll let
somebody
Tom on
had
your art,
actually
and then you go.
reviewed
It's gonna be a
all
board
the
decision.
way
Okay.
they-
Yeah, it is. It's gonna
Well,
And let's move on to that.
Yeah, it is
Plus
gonna be
the
board
fact
decision.
that they didn't put in any bulkheads, that's
This
not
one's a tight, yeah, I can, honestly.
Grab it, Mr. Chairman.
All right, Lord, everybody, thank you for your input, feedback, comments, whatever. JB, you had your hand up?
At the January 27th busy board meeting, is a presentation by staff about the bulkhead replacement program going forward. That will impact ultimately the board's decision of what we do with the 465 contribution or assessment.
Okay, so that's.
So,
yeah, just,
with that being said,
Right.
we agree on the 19, the 465 will be a board, question.
Good,
But with that, we subtract $30 from the $60 increase. We still have a $30 increase in the assessment, but it's all applicable to the deficit recovery. You have a 0 increase related to
I'm
operating.
sorry, $30 would be the impact? You're saying?
Ultimately, we have taken $30
Overall.
out of the $60 increase.
Multiple
Multiple different places.
Multiple places.
Yeah, if you want to review, Mr. Chairman, that would be a good idea.
Jim's, I got my,
We subtracted payroll costs in finance department by $17,853. We reduced payroll in public works by not filling and removing 2 positions to the tune of $75,594. I'll back up for a second, the $17,853, using the $8,452. Is that right? Okay, gives us $2.11. The $75,594 gives us $8.94.
go ahead.
Adding $47,000 to the fire department line item adds $5.56. Golf, increasing the revenue by $25,000, creates a reduction of $2.95. Reducing payroll expense to budget to 44% at the yacht club reduces it by $28. I didn't do, that's $238,000 if anybody's wanting to know that number. And then the bulkhead, general assessment reduction by $19. That gives us a net reduction in the proposed assessment increase of $30.
I thought it was way high. I gotta be honest with you, and again, I'm just doing it in my head. What I appreciate after this is we get something from you, Steve, somebody does a calculation,
Right.
send it to us. In my head, I had a number
much higher.
way
I
higher
get
than that.
56, John.
What's that?
I get 56.
Yeah, I was way higher than
What did I
30.
miss?
You're missing road depreciation.
You mentioned road depreciation. That added 26 back to it.
Okay.
Sorry, I left that one out. Good catch.
You also got $3,100 on the,
But that was a wash. That was a revenue for the expense.
But it's still,
so the net effect
pennies
is 0?
Uh,
6 cents.
because
Yeah,
we didn't budget
it's-
the revenue in there,
Right.
you only have budgeted the
right,
expense.
right. So it's,
$3,100.
Which is 36 cents.
yes,
Pennies.
36
Whatever.
cents.
Hey,
It's 36 cents.
So what was our bottom
I
line?
wasn't dealing with 36 cents. I was dealing with dollars
What was the road
to give you a
depreciation?
number,
What was the road
okay?
depreciation?
The number's gonna be off by
That's fine.
maybe 50 cents if we're lucky.
Okay, so you give them ballpark, Steve, or you were gonna
Right.
send something out to us?
It's basically $30 off of the 60 that's currently proposed, which leaves us with $30 instead of $33 for deficit recovery, which, unless I missed it, wasn't in your recommendations.
I mean, the big thing is when you come back with the yacht club, to be honest with you, so.
Well, yes, but that's a
Did
speculative
you put in
number
about
of
the
what
yacht
that
club
would do to
decrease?
that
We
1.4.
give- Was the yacht club
Yeah.
increase in it, was in it?
Numbers, it's a budget.
Just the yacht club alone?
Yeah.
You said it, not me.
May have an impact on
Just put up
the,
to $33.
Yeah, I think we had that
We put
discussion, it's
nothing
not
in
gonna
there
happen
on
now anyway, so it'll be,
covering the,
Right.
it's speculative.
million for
might there be an impact on the overall, operating loss for the year if the yacht club losses are
I
reduced
think
by the closing?
what I wanted to see was.
I don't think, so.
Like all this
It's not
shit.
gonna, I mean, we're already close to $1 million, so it's not gonna change that 1.4 number.
Okay.
I see it as making sure that we don't go beyond that.
If that's the case, then there's not, doesn't sound like there's a hell of a lot of value in closing it, does it? You can't, doesn't have any impact.
Well, it's not gonna make it go, increase further.
What we've done is just reduced the proposed assessment by $30.
Uh-huh. And I've agreed to that, and the only thing that we differed on was the 465, we'll leave that up to the board.
And that's fine. It would be good on the bulkhead, and that's fine with the bulkhead, the decision coming out here, but there should be substantiation and something for that, a better understanding of what's gonna be spent,
Okay.
to address all the questions
Right,
everybody
and
has.
again, that's.
Because I was at
part
the
of that's
annual
coming up.
meeting, I did a presentation here, a lot of questions right off the bat on that, where they feel that, you know, what are they getting for their money? So, all I'm saying, the recommendation coming out of here, or the observation, is it needs to be substantiated. And that's what I think you got out of today. It has to be substantiated on what exactly we're doing for whatever we put in there. That's the recommendation here.
Okay.
Okay, I just want to make a point on it, new capital, and it didn't even come up, so maybe I shouldn't even have said it. We're just saying that, you know, we're open to you having a separate section for the new capital, especially for the two pieces you had in there, the two items you had in there for this year, but no way were we saying to fund it. We weren't addressing that here, as far as funding way down the road or whatever. We're not making any recommendations on that. Outside of, I wouldn't do it today. Okay,
That's everything.
So the hearing that's taking place this coming Saturday here in this room is based upon the numbers we just went through. And we'll get that.
I'll get that before Saturday, before I go there.
Before Saturday, absolutely. And the PowerPoint presentation that we're creating will be based upon what we did today.
That's my understanding.
Yes.
Are we gonna discuss the recovery of the million for the loss? $33 increase in assessment? That is going into next year
no, I
as
understand
the
what you're
start of a 5-year reduction, or are we going to leave it on the balance sheet as a negative?
And I'll leave it on, well, bring it up. Bring it up.
I think you just did.
That's what I did.
Can't hear anything.
They can't hear you,
Oh,
say
I'm
it so they
sorry.
can hear it.
Can't hear anything.
I just raised the question about the recovery of the $1.4 million loss over the past 2 years, which was proposed to increase the assessment $33 each year for the next 5 years to recover the $1.4 million. And I just asked John, are we gonna discuss it? And he said, bring it up, and I said, I just did. So,
I just wanted everybody to hear it, Joe.
Yeah.
Okay, is there any comments from the team or anything, or? Anybody? Jim?
No, I didn't think.
I had a comment in the back.
Yeah, whatever we do with the deficit recovery, I would urge the board or Jim, John, not to label it a 5-year plan. That is just gonna get us into a PR nightmare. We're gonna say we're gonna attempt to reduce it, through operational gains and for this year, and maybe on the, next year or something like that. But don't say we're gonna do it for 5 years, because we might turn this ship around and not have to do it. So, but I just, and so you've already seen some of the reaction by labeling it a 5-year plan. I think we can't do that.
Yeah, okay. Anybody else? So everybody had their turn? I mean, right off the bat, I would not hang with the term I heard, and I do understand the term, hang it up on the balance sheet. I would not do that. Totally, that should just be off the table as guidance. Then obviously you come down to how much do we increase over how much of a time, or do we go and we pay for it with reserves? I'm sorry?
Can't hear you.
You can't hear me? So right off the bat, this committee, and it should not be an option to hang it up in the balance sheet. I could never go for something like that. I sincerely hope we don't do that. The answer's no to that. Then it comes down to whether we provide for it based upon this assessment that John O'Connor brought up, or that was in the budget, and if so, over how much time, or do we take it from the reserves? So that question comes up, but right now, we're saying, no way to hang it up in the balance sheet. That's our comment right now, an observation.
That's fine.
Let's work this through. I know what I would do, but
I guess I disagree.
that's fine.
Yeah, I don't know what hanging up on a balance sheet.
That means they're not gonna cover it. Your
Yeah,
return,
well, I
that means
mean,
if you
I-
had $10 is now
Yeah,
$4. Oh, so you do know.
No. Oh, yes, I know that part. I don't know what it would mean down the road. If we were a large business and somebody were coming in and they wanted to buy it and they look at that, wait a minute, you guys got a big deficit like that. But we're not. This is not money we owe ourselves. He doesn't have a big stack of bills to pay on his desk from this 1.4 million. And as a property owner, I've already paid it in my last year's and the year previous assessments. There's no legal obligation to pay this. I would like to see that money used for something positive going forward. I mean, we've kind of got a new ball game going here. Let's get some new uniforms. Let's not look to the back at a failure, which is, I guess, kind of what it is, and I see it. But let's move forward and positive. It happened, it occurred, let's put it behind us. Let's go forward and not have to deal with this. Use that money for something positive. Fill the potholes, whatever. I mean, that's just my opinion.
Okay. Hold on. John, do you have JB, you have what you need from us? Or no?
I have what I need. I just want to make sure everybody's on the same page after today. That there's a hearing on Saturday here. There is a board meeting the following week.
27th?
Where the recommended budget goes to the board of directors. It will not be what was written about. We are now at a recommended budget of 0% regarding the operating budget. The entire proposed assessment increase is $30 to deal with the deficit
Right.
of the last 2 years.
Yes. Yeah?
And we still, just one more point, we still don't know what impact, review of the salary and benefit will have, what kind of impact that will have on this budget also.
Correct.
I had a comment.
I just wanted to, I wasn't totally clear on what John Trumpauer said. I just want to make it clear that the deficit that we have is not a balance sheet animal. It is real. It is cash that we don't have. We have no operating reserve at all because we budget zero and we aim for zero every year. So if we lose $1 billion a year, we have to fund that from the reserves, which we can't do without the supermajority of the board approval. It means that our checkbook is a minus million to equate it to us day in and day out. So we do need to replace that $1 million, and it needs to go into the operating account. It's not something that we're going to buy anything new with. We're basically going to pay the bills we already incurred with it. Is that
I understand.
okay?
I understand. We paid our bills, though. We
We don't
haven't?
have enough cash from operations to pay our bills if we have a loss. We have to borrow from the reserves, except we do get a little bit of a timing issue in March because we collect before the year begins. I don't want to muddy with that. We basically would have an overdrawn checking account if we don't either borrow from the reserves through the board approving or fund it going forward, which I believe we have to. We don't, in my mind, we have no choice. We have to fund that loss in collections going forward, and it's simply to pay this year's bills. It's not, extra money that we're gonna buy something with. That this year's, last year's, and, yeah.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, so you got it now, John?
I'm sorry?
Did that help you?
Yes, I understand what Pat
But
said.
so did you change your opinion, or are you still there?
Well, I moved a bit.
Okay.
I'm not sure I changed it, but I moved a bit. Think back.
I look at it that I gave my daughter $50 to go holiday shopping, and she spent $125, and I still owe somebody $75. It looked good,
Well,
and
I've
she's gonna
been
go
in that
shopping next
situation,
week,
too.
and she's gonna buy more good stuff, but that doesn't mean I'm gonna give her more money to buy that, to pay for that good stuff next week. I still gotta pay that $75, somehow, some way. I either take it out of the bank, or I go make more money.
Well, I guess in the simplest, if we've made it through the year, and I understand Pat's point about carrying a negative balance on the checkbook.
Okay.
So, but if we don't need that money moving forward, but what you're saying is we do need that money moving forward.
Well, you either take, like I said, I either go out and make more money, or I take it out of the bank. and
I
pay
guess
for it.
I'm back to the point,
So it's the
what
same
happens
thing.
if you don't do anything? How does that impact life?
Well, wouldn't that money have to come out of the
Somebody help
actual
me.
money we have saved?
Well, I guess it's
Because we
already,
gotta pay the bills.
I guess it's already come
And if
from
we,
that.
and if we,
It's
and if
also
we do
savings
that
account.
year after year after
Okay,
year.
you know
It's
what,
out
let
of the savings account instead of the checking account.
Right, which was, you know what, to answer your question, the other day when we had the fire in the EMS,
Mhm.
and we found the cupboard bare when they had all those bills,
Right.
well, what were you all saying? Borrow money, go get this money, I heard you all talking over here. It's the same situation. You gotta cover it. It's gotta be covered somewhere,
I moved a little more.
all right. We'll get there, either way, it's gotta be covered, it's not gonna be hung up in the balance sheet. All right, JB, you got everything you need, or?
Yes, sir.
Okay, was this what you were expecting today and everything? I think this was added, I don't believe we've had this piece in the past. This was JB's recommendation or his idea, and I thought it worked real well.
I think the big piece is for the board to understand, you know, a lot of these decisions got made today, and then they have some 30,000-foot pieces to deal with. Deficit recovery or other things that might impact that $30. But a lot of the details get taken care of before it gets to their level.
Right. No, I thought it was great. I'm good.
How are you?
That's it?
Where are you?
All right, we're done. Thank you.
I'm ready.